The following podcast is a presentation of Project Entertainment Network.
Welcome to Vicious Whispers with Mark Tullius, your source for horror, sci-fi, suspense, and all things violent.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thank you so much for joining me today on Vicious Whispers with Mark Tullius. Today we have episode 128. The short story at the end of the episode is 31 Others, narrated by Curt Bonnem. No one has heard this before. I don't think I've put it out at all. This is set in the 25 Perfect Days world. It's the first story that has been written from a first-person perspective, which is the type of writing that I enjoy. It's really fun to do, so check that out at the end of here. If you want to read that short story, you'll have to find it in Morsels of Mayhem, which is free on my newsletter. That Morsels of Mayhem has just been translated into German. Gruselig Leckerbissen, something like that. Sorry, my German's terrible. But that was cool. That's one of the things I did this week was get that translated, proofed, and then I had to put it in book format. So that is now out. I'm setting up my newsletter in German so I can really start building up a German audience. Pretty excited. I've been spending a little bit more time with the language learning. A lot of this week has been spent preparing for the book fair coming up. I leave on October 16th. Just yesterday, I finalized the TBI book in both German and in English. I ordered it. Now I'm crossing my fingers hoping that they are going to arrive in time. It says 10 to 15 business days. If it takes 15 business days, that means I am not getting it in time. I just wrote to them, though, asking them if there's any way to make it a little bit faster, if I could pay to get the books here quicker. I really would like to have those. But even if I don't get those books on time, it's still cool, man. I still have all the flyers. I have all my posters. I have everything else set up. Brochures are coming in today. I just made some new 12-page brochures to hand out at the festival. Those should do well. I also got some cool bookmarks being made. So a lot of cool stuff like that. My assistant right now is making some really cool sales sheets that we'll be able to hand out to different foreign reps there, literary agents, all that sort of stuff. Then later on, I'll be sending those off to libraries. So a lot of cool stuff. I'm feeling super pumped about just my career in general, but especially this trip. I think this trip is going to be awesome on different levels. On one level, so it'll just be overall awesome. It's going to be great for building up a German following, new connections, but also just the amount of writing time on the plane, in the hotel, all that kind of stuff. Plus being able to see the castle that we're writing about in Trennstein on the Rhine. That's going to be really cool as well. So lots of cool shit. The other stuff this week, got in some weightlifting, got in some yoga, breathing. All these things are making a big difference. They're all contributing to this overall feeling of awesomeness. And again, not every day is awesome. Some days I will come home. I take my son to soccer practice on Mondays and Wednesdays. My foot has been in all kinds of pain with the plantar fasciitis. Been going to physical therapy, working on that. It's improving a bit. Like on those nights, I come home, haven't used any cannabis all day long, get back at like 8:30, just kind of angry because of the pain in my foot, and it's been a long day, whatever else. But so even though I'll go through that, then it's about, okay, well, let me breathe, let me take some time for myself, let me use a little bit of cannabis to help bring stuff down. And then I realize it's like, okay, that's all little shit, that's all little stress, whatever. I acknowledge it, let it go, and then go on to have an awesome day the next morning. One really cool thing that happened last weekend was going to a baby shower. I know that sounds kind of crazy, not something I'd ever hear myself saying. My wife was very surprised too. Originally, she was supposed to go with me. It's for a very good friend of ours, good friends, Anthony and Janine Johnson. Awesome people. I write about Anthony in my book. I think I mentioned him in Unlocking the Cage as well, but he's in the TBI book because he was my yogi, really good friend. Taught me all about yoga, the importance of it. We spent a lot of time training both yoga, jiu-jitsu, became really good friends, talked a lot about being a father, his fears of being a father, all that kind of stuff. And so now that he's married and having a baby, it's pretty awesome. They're both great people, very loving. They're going to be awesome parents. But the idea of going to a baby shower, before I was like, there's no way I'd want to go to a baby shower. In fact, my wife called me on it because she's like, she was surprised that I even wanted to go to the event. She thought I was going because of obligation or whatever else. I was like, no, I really want to go. She's like, but you hate being around people. I was like, I don't know, just that didn't feel right anymore or true or whatever. So she wasn't able to go because she had to take care of the kids. There's no one around to watch them. But I got dressed up. I drove an hour. I even wrapped the presents myself. It looked like a little kid wrapped them. Went to a crowded place and surrounded by people that I didn't know except for Anthony and Janine. But it was awesome. And I didn't feel uncomfortable. I didn't have to go and drink. I didn't, wasn't high. I didn't do any of that stuff. Just had a nice time. They set me up at a table with some of their other friends, their yoga friends. Hit it off with them. But it was just a cool feeling, not letting that social anxiety or whatever else interfere with having a good day. So that was awesome. Super happy for them. It was great being able to see them for a little bit. And yeah, but I thought that was cool. Another cool thing that happened right after that was I went to go see my buddy Fortunato Lipari, who lives out in Riverside. He's always coming to me. I never drive down to him, but I was in the area. So I went down there and he wanted to take me to his the spot that he goes for cannabis. I thought it was closer to his house when I got in the car. When we were driving for a little while, he told me it was in Lake Elsinore, which I never go down to. But if you are near Lake Elsinore at any point, you probably do want to hit this place up because it is awesome. I was impressed with it. I usually go to hole-in-the-wall dispensaries. The one by me is kind of shady. The crappy building, shitty parking all around. You have to park in the neighborhood. You can't even see the person that you're handing your ID to. Just the whole thing very, very sketchy. And like Fortunato was pointing out to me, lots of stuff I'm smoking, who knows what's in it, what kind of pesticides they use, everything else. Another one of those health risks you don't really think about when you're using cannabis so much. So went to this place and we pulled up beautiful building. When you're walking up, there's a security guard, very professional, very friendly and nice, who greets you, checks your ID. You go inside, talk to people at the front desk. Very nice. Again, everyone's super friendly. The building's really clean. Everyone was very knowledgeable. The sales staff inside was cool. They grow their own weed. Everything is nicely packaged. One thing that really impressed me was their marketing. All of their branding is just excellent. So that's Medcare Farms in Lake Elsinore. So if you're ever in that area, hit them up. They also have delivery too. But yeah, this stuff that I've been smoking this week is pretty awesome. I think this is the Lemon Burst, 22.19 THC. But it's been enjoying it. Also picked up a bunch of other stuff there. But again, super cool branding. If I was going to own a dispensary, I would do something like that. That's the wave of the future. That's how it should be. And especially since the prices were just about the same as what I'm paying right now at this other place, it was shady. So I'd much rather get it from a reputable place. That place seemed really cool. And again, anytime I talk about cannabis, I always want to put that disclaimer like, hey, I'm not saying that this is for everyone. I'm not saying that there are no health risk in using this thing. I encourage people under 18 to leave this shit alone until your brain is developed. I started at a much younger age. But I was also dealing with some pretty severe shit, as far as self-hatred and who knows how many traumatic brain injuries I had at that point, how many concussions I was dealing with. So I started at a young age. Maybe it affected my brain in a negative way. I don't know. But that's one of the last chapters or sections in my book on traumatic brain injuries is, yes, cannabis does hold some risks, but because of how much it improves my daily life, for me, it's worth it. So even though maybe it is accelerating my brain age, that's what Dr. Amen points out in his studies, that he says, I think it's like 2.8 years brain acceleration, even accelerates the aging of the brain a little bit more than alcohol. But I'm doing all kinds of other healthy stuff. And I know cannabis overall does have some really good health benefits. So one of my friends, we just had this discussion because he was talking about it. He drinks a good amount of alcohol. He's had kind of an issue with alcohol. And he's finding that instead of using alcohol, like cannabis is a little bit better for him. but he gets paranoid about it because he feels like he's doing something wrong. Even though we live in California, even though it's legal, he hides it from his family and friends and everyone else. He doesn't want them knowing, and it's all because, and he gets paranoid because he feels like it's something wrong. We were brainwashed to believe that this is a terrible drug, that it's a Schedule 1 drug, that no one should use it. It's bad for you. It's going to ruin your brain. That's all bullshit. I mean, yes, there are some risks, but not to that level. So, that's ingrained. I still get that way sometimes, but, so we were talking to him. I was like, okay, well, do you see it as a medicine? Like, it is a medicine. It's one of the world's oldest medicines. So, if you start looking at it like that, or look at it compared to alcohol and see which one, that's what I was asking. I was like, which one is worse for you? Which one is worse for your body? Which one is worse for your, what are you going to do to your liver by doing this over and over and over and drinking? So what would you rather have your kids do? Would you rather, if I had to choose between my kids going out and getting super drunk every night or getting high every night when they're 18, I definitely would want them getting high. It's way safer. They're going to make less mistakes. They're not going to drive and kill someone. Again, I don't want them to spend every day getting high, but I'd be a hypocrite if I said not to do it, especially since that's pretty much what I've been doing for the last 30 plus years. So anyhow, that's my rant on cannabis. But again, Medcare Farms, Lake Elsinore, go check them out. I think we're going to wrap it up, guys. I got to get to my newsletter. Busy day. And I still have some books that I need to get published ordered for this fair. The new version of the German Brightside cover came in this morning, so I'm reprinting that, as well as Beyond Brightside, Jenseits von Brightside. That is also in. So this morning I'll be doing those, putting those up, ordering those through Amazon's KDP program. They have a print program. It's good enough. I usually use Lightning Source for everything else, but I'm using Amazon for these two books. I should get them quicker. So once those are in, I will have all my books set up for Germany. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I hope you enjoyed this story. Again, this is 31 Others. You could read it in Morsels of Mayhem, but it is set in the 25 Perfect Days world. Hope you enjoy it. This one is narrated by Curt Bonnem. All right, guys, I will talk to you next week. Later.
"31 Others, October 2nd, 2045. Holy shit. What the hell happened? Everything hurts. My head's one giant throbbing mass. My left eye won't open and my right's blurry. I'm guessing car crash, but I don't remember driving. I don't remember anything. Last thing was kissing Paula goodbye. I wipe my eye and cry out, my left shoulder a hot flash of agony. My scream echoes, but only my right ear catches it, my left just ringing. The stickiness on my fingers is drying blood. My hand hesitates, then goes to the missing patch of hair on the side of my head. I'm afraid to check my scalp, but need to know what I'm dealing with. The skin is torn, but the bleeding has stopped. It's the swelling I'm worried about, the pressure, the pain. I don't even know where the hell I am, just that it's some kind of small cell. This bench is black steel, same as the side and back walls, each close enough to touch. Thick glass doors stand 3 feet in front of me, giving this cage the feel of a fancy elevator, but there are no buttons to open the door or call for help. I'm naked, no clothes in sight. There's a puddle of spit and blood in the corner. Around my left ankle is a black plastic tie, that foot a light purple. Another tie secures it to the U-ring bolted to the floor. The glass doors look too thick to break, and there's a black number 7 sticker near the bottom. The walls and glass doors stop an inch from the concrete ceiling a good 9 feet above. Seems like something they'd pull on us in basic training, but the Army's in my past. It's gotta be a dream or some kind of joke. And again, This hurts too much not to be real. What I can see of my left shoulder is a massive black and blue. There's a purple splotch across my swollen ribs, another on my left hip. It hurts to sit up, the ringing in my ear not doing any better. There's something on the other side of the glass, but I need to get up to see better. Jesus Christ! At least one of my ribs is broken, and my balance is shit. Without the wall to lean on, I'd go down. A row of 5 cages stands a good 15 feet away, about a yard separating each of them, concrete walls on both ends. The one directly across from me has 13 at the bottom, a woman curled over on the bench, her disheveled long blonde hair hiding her face. The cages marked 12, 11, and 10 are to my left, and 14 to my right is nestled against the wall. The walls of my cage are blank, same as the glass. No button to slide the doors open. I cover up with my hand and yell, "What the hell is going on?" My voice is muffled and hangs in the stale air. It doesn't look like anyone heard me across the way, or at least no one's acting like it. From this angle, I can't see if anyone's in 10. Next to her in 11 is a dark-skinned lady with short black hair who's balled up on the floor of her cage. The curly brunette in 12 is on her feet, covered up with both hands. She looks like she's still in high school. I glance away, even though she seems familiar. The girl in 14 is about the same age plus 40 pounds. She might be asleep, her head lolled back and her punky blue hair smashed against the side wall. There's a loud click and a whir as the cage vibrates. My cage and the ones across from me move as one, shifting right as 14 lowers out of sight. We're stuck on the world's slowest roller coaster, but even that little bit of movement makes me nauseous. I sit down, rest my head against the glass, surprised by its warmth. Cage 9 just came out from the wall to our left. The angle's too sharp to see if anyone's in it. What if Paula is in there? Why are we here? The glass thuds under my foot when I kick it. Only my right ear registers the sound. I've got to breathe. Got to calm down or my head's going to burst. Or it already has and my skin's just containing it. The lady across from me pulls her hair to the side, both eyes black and blue, her nose crooked. She sees me looking, and her hair once again hides her face. 12 is sitting down, 11 still on the floor, and 10 standing, facing the place we'd come from. Not much of her is exposed, but I'm relieved by her red hair. It's not Paula. What the fuck? I should be at work. Or home, not here. Work. The protest. Breathe. It's my left side that's damaged. That eye probably permanently gone. An explosion. Grenade! That's what Yvonne had yelled. We were front row with my camera, Yvonne preparing her questions beside me. Judge Monterosa stood behind the podium, her voice shaking with rage as she recited the list of congressmen who each had at least one live-in employed, every one of the girls the minimum age of 15. My memory is interrupted by a whisper. Someone talking. The wall is warm on my palm, my head throbbing more when I'm standing. Hello? They... here, a tiny voice says from above. It doesn't sound like it's coming from a speaker, and there's just the concrete wall to our right. I get as close as I can to the other wall, turn so my good ear is facing it. Anyone there? Yeah, a man says. You hear me? Barely. I step on my bench with my right foot, rise up as far as the zip tie will allow. Where are we?
I don't know. They took off my hood before.
Click. The entire cage vibrates. No! The ceiling pulls away from my hand, my equilibrium off as we descend to the next floor. 13 and I stop at the same time, but the blonde doesn't even raise her head. Not that there's anything different to see down here. 4 cages and a concrete wall to the left, another wall to my right. The punk rocker in 14 is crying, banging her fist on the bench. In 15, a lady with long silver hair appears to be the oldest here. She pulls her hair back into a bun and wipes the sweat from her brow, dabs the small wounds peppering her face. Holy crap. Judge Monterosa. Why would someone kidnap us? This makes no sense. The teenager in 16 has a runner's physique, bruises across her back. Her right foot is on the bench, her left straining against the zip tie. She calls out to cage 1, but it isn't visible from this angle. Down here, there's a 6-inch gap between the cages and the ceiling. Not enough room to squeeze through, even if I got the tie off. It seems like the larger opening would make it cooler, but if anything, it's warmer down here, the air stifling. I face the left wall and yell, "Hey, you hear me?" "Yes, I'm here," a man says, his voice shaky. "Not our kids." I don't get what he's saying. Then I remember the name of the movement. "Cameraman," I tell him. "Can't believe this." "What happened?" Click. The cage shakes. We all shift one space. Cage 1 passing through the tight opening in the wall, 12 descending into the open space to the right. The image of an airport luggage terminal fills my mind. What the hell is going on? My throat is raw, but I still scream, "We didn't do anything!" "Calm down," the older-sounding man in 6 says. "It won't help." I move closer to that wall. "Who did this?" "Probably backers of the bill, everyone being named." I sit down as a wave of nausea overtakes me and bile rises in my throat. The curly brunette in 12 is looking right at me, mascara snaking down her cheeks. She holds up her hand and waves. I return the wave. Her small smile brings everything back. She'd been at the protest, standing behind Monterosa with the other girls who stepped forward to tell their story. All the things they were forced to do to get assistance for their families. But now she's doing sign language, and I've got no idea what she's saying. "Oh man," 8 says. "Stop it!" At first I think he's yelling at me, but I'm not doing anything. We can only see the woman. 16 is hysterical, her screams silent as she pounds on the wall. She is jerking her leg hard as she can, the zip tie embedded so deep, the blood flowing freely. Finally, 16 gives up the struggle and faces the door with a look of determination. Still standing halfway on the bench, she puts her hands behind her back and dives head first, tucking her chin so her body doubles over, her neck snapped in half. The click scares the shit out of me, and the cage rumbles. 16's dead and disappearing through the wall. Judge Monterosa sits there, her face fierce, oblivious to what happened a few arm lengths away from her. 14 is banging on the glass with both fists, but I only catch faint thuds. The blonde in 13 has her head bowed, 12 attempting sign language with someone to my right. 11 is the new arrival. She's sitting up, arms covering her chest. That's Zara, my editor. She wasn't even at the protest. I wave, trying to get Zara's attention, but she's staring at her feet. At least she doesn't look injured. "Oh, this is bad," 8 says. "I'm fucking freaking out." "It'll be all right," I say. The biggest lie of my life. That girl killed herself. I saw. He says something else, but I tune him out. Same with 6, whose shouts are muffled. All I can think about is Paula. If she's safe at home, if I'm going to see her again. I close my eye and breathe, the humid air filling my throat. The pounding in my head isn't as bad, or I'm just used to it, but there's no question the swelling's getting worse. Click! Sweat stings my eye, my entire body glistening. I'm in the batter's box and in need of serious medical attention. I count to 30 before 6 starts shouting. "What's going on?" he asks. "Where are we headed?" Pretty sure we're on a loop. To where? I don't have an answer, so I go to the left wall. You hear anything? There's silence. Talking, yelling. That's it, 8 says. I'll be right back. 6 keeps shouting for me, but I close my eye, pretending I'm in a sauna, keeping my breaths long and soft. Getting upset won't help. I've got to stay strong. A click and a shake, and I'm the one up against the wall. Me and 13, who's still hiding behind her hair. 8 is talking, but too low to make out. He's getting louder, telling someone to fuck off. At least there's someone to talk to. I can explain there's been a mistake. I'm a journalist. But so is Zara. There's no reason she should be here. She's still staring at the cage floor. 12's crying, rocking back and forth. 13 parted her hair down the middle and is staring right at me, her hands folded in prayer. Join me, she mouths. Please. This is my first time since I was a kid. I bring my hands together, give a slight bow. Her smile looks painful, her teeth stained red. Thank you. 6 is shouting something, but I'm not going to respond. All my focus on this woman. Click. The cage shifts left, and I'm looking into a tiny white cubicle. A giant black screen hangs inches from the glass doors, and the sulfurous air is thick enough to taste. We clank to a stop, and the screen pops up. A balding white guy in a black controller's uniform sits behind a desk. The guy looks like he got teased a bunch as a kid and probably still does outside of work. I keep my voice calm and say, "This is a big mistake. I'm a journalist. I'm a cameraman." He doesn't even bother looking up. "We're well aware of that, Mr. Norris," he says, his squeaky voice coming through the ceiling speaker. 8 is screaming at me. Don't confess! Don't give in! White noise is cranked up to drown him out as condensation gathers on the glass. The controller says, "Pay attention, Mr. Norris." I served in the army. Which makes your treachery even worse. You pledged undying allegiance to the president and his controllers. I didn't do anything. This isn't constitutional. Do you confess and denounce your crimes? 8 screams so loud it cuts through the white noise. Confess, he says. Confess! Please look at the screen, Mr. Norris. The screen goes black before an email appears. It's from Paula. He highlights her third sentence down. Someone needs to stop these scumbags. That's a private message to my wife. The screen switches to a conversation I had with Zara this morning. She suggested how I frame my photos. Focus on the girls. We need to see these pedophiles burn. Denounce your heretical ideology, the controller says. Accept your 3-month detention. Be baptized and become whole. The smell is awful as the heat turns up, the steam intensifying. I ask, or? The maniacal shouts of a madman slice through the silence. Time's up, the controller says calmly. If you're going to confess, please look at the camera above the cell. Fine, I say. I confess. I accept my punishment. Click. The cage shakes and the screen goes black. This room is bigger, the humidity overwhelming. An enormous shiny steel vat with water trickling down the side fills the space between me and 13. Another one between 14 and 8 shines bright through the rising steam. 14's bunched up on the floor, drenched and dead, her blue hair floating on an inch of water. Her baptism. No! 8 screams. Lord Jesus, no! There are silver slides jutting out from the wall, each angled down at a cage. 13 is still seated in prayer, her face serene, eyes closed. I can't tell if she confessed. 8 keeps screaming. This can't be happening. No goodbyes to our families. We didn't do anything! I punched the glass, not caring when I shatter my knuckles. Something clicks above, and a torrent of cold water knocks me into the doors. It's not stopping, and already up to my knees. 13 opens her eyes and jerks back. Looks like she's been shot. She's pointing and screaming at me and 8. The water's past my thighs, but the lava is slower. A waterfall of fire pouring over 14, eating away all traces of her. I jerk my leg, but the zip tie's not breaking. The water's to my chest. Even if I could hold my breath long enough, there's no getting away. All the screams are gone, just the rushing water. 13's trying to kick her leg free, her nails drawing blood as she tries to tear the tie off. Getting on the bench won't do me any good. I want to leave my mouth open, but instinct takes over and I gasp the biggest breath. The water is nearly to my eyes when 13 faces me. I fold my hands in front of my chest. No way of knowing if she's joined me, the water distorting everything. I let in the flood and pray.